Emerging evidence has really demonstrated a strong link between nutrition in early life and long-term health outcomes. And this can be both prenatal nutrition as well as postnatal nutrition. And my lab and a number of other labs are investigating how nutrition and other environmental factors can program or developmentally program an infant and the child for later life health. In our case, we're looking at obesity. And we've taken what's called a cell-to-society approach within this socio-ecological model, where we're starting at the very beginning with that infant or the child and their own inherent genetic risk factor. And then as we go out through the various spheres, we start to look at what's happening in the family, in the daycare setting, what's in the community in terms of access to physical activity. Every sphere builds out from that child and their genetic risk all the way out to society.
IHSI can help be the linkage between people doing basic science, people doing engineering, and clinical partners who can take advantage of the inventions and discoveries and the passion of the scientists, who can provide an outlet for translating the things that happen in the laboratories into the clinic.
We've taken a cells-to-society approach in our Strong Kids program, which is the Synergistic Theory and Research on Nutrition and Growth, that would be following children and families through these early years of life, which are very important for the onset of obesity. But that genetic predisposition interacts with the environment, and so that's why we need to consider both the cell all the way to the society.
We look at how the family creates its daily habits and how biology actually interacts with different family routines and the family environment to predict risk for obesity in early childhood. Most parents don't really realize that it's not only your diet that's important, but also establishing good sleep routines, the importance of being physically active as a family together. So it's really not that families are to blame for the childhood obesity epidemic, that they need to be supported. The importance of families sharing meals together, it's an activity that lasts only about 20 minutes. And if families would set that as a priority, that's 20 minutes that's invested for health of every single member of the family.
In the United States, roughly 13 million children under the age of 5 are in non-parental care situations. The problem is, in childcare settings, teachers are not well equipped to address the nutritional needs of young children. As a program, we can focus on identifying ways in which we can help teachers become better equipped to do what we know is in the best interest of children in terms of feeding them. If we help families understand the value of mimicking or partnering and doing what the child care centers are doing in the home settings as well, we're better able to address the problem.
Fit Kids is supported by the National Institutes of Health. This will be its 9th year. As the program grew, and in partnership with Abbott, we began to ask questions around nutrition. And so we've been looking at the synergistic effects of both an increase in physical activity and an increase in sort of a nutrient-rich diet. And the ultimate goal then is to understand not just the factors that sort of underlie cognition or the aspects of brain that are influenced by physical activity and those effects on cognition, but how they translate out into scholastic achievement. The focus of my research is to examine these components, both nutrient intake or energy intake and energy expenditure, and understand how it influences the brain. I don't think it's far-fetched to assume that there's a relationship between these health factors and brain, since we know that there's a relationship between these health factors and the body.
The ITOP program, or Illinois Transdisciplinary Obesity Prevention Program, was developed with a $4.5 million grant from the USDA. We really looked at, again, the broad expertise that we have on this campus, but then also looked at what are the needs. So we developed a joint MPH-PhD degree because we felt it was very important that the students got that public health perspective and to talk across disciplines.
We see that as one of our models, those kinds of programs where the goal is to build communities of interested researchers who reach out, find the right populations, get people engaged in activities that increase their healthfulness, build tools to measure the changes that occur, for example, in cognition and brain function as a result of exercise or fitness or better nutrition.
When we go back to the cell to community or cell to society approach, Again, we're acknowledging the importance of environmental factors, and we have faculty who are looking at all of these various realms. Obesity is a very complex problem. It has genetic risk factors, but the environmental contributions are huge. And what we are really advocating is that we need sort of a holistic approach, and that we can't just think about schools or just parks or just daycares. And that's the advantage of doing a longitudinal study, is that we can actually follow these children as they are born into a family and then go into daycare and go into the schools. So the messages that we're hoping to get out really are crossing through all of these spheres in our cell to society and coming back with ideally recommendations that are achievable and are not unrealistic for a community.